mean to. I was trying to text you, their power load to load the car instead of being.
It is, that's great.
They're nice.
All set, Dottie?
All set. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All righty. It's 7 PM, so we'll call the meeting to order. Want to welcome everybody who is here, as well as those who are joining us via Zoom. This is our first Zoom meeting since COVID. So this is kind of an experiment tonight to make sure that we can get it all running smoothly. One thing I would like to say ahead of time is those of you who are on Zoom, just remember that if you care to make a comment at any one of the two portions of public comment, that you please identify yourself. And that goes for everybody in the audience as well, because this is all being recorded. So before you speak, please state your name. We shall begin. So first we'll start with the roll call.
Michael Doherty,
Present.
Phil Perzo,
Present.
Jeff Kelleher,
Here.
Ivar McDonald,
Here.
Wendy Costa, here. Margaret Julian. All right, I got it right. Marilyn Barker, here. And Michelle Was, I'm here.
All right, and Fred
Is on Zoom.
Fred is on Zoom. Okay. Attaboy, Fred. Fred, are you going to participate as a board member, or do you wish to have Margaret seated for you?
Margaret seated for me. I sent you an email and her,
Yes.
I told her, I designated her to sit in for me, so I'm just an observer tonight.
All righty, thank you very much. And that takes care of the next item, which is to seat an alternate if necessary. So Margaret is seated in Fred's place. And we'll move on to item 4, which is to approve the minutes from the January 13th, 2026 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved. That's Michelle Duddy.
All right. Joe has moved to accept. Do we have a second? I will second. And Mr. Prizzo has moved to second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Questions, additions? Anyone? No? All right. Then we will move on to a vote on that. Jeff, how do you vote? Abstain. You abstained? Okay. Ivar?
Yes.
All right, I vote aye as well. Michelle?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. And Margaret?
Aye.
Okay, so the motion carries. Minutes are accepted as presented. All right, next item of business is public comment. Does anyone have a public comment at this time from the audience? David?
Yeah, David Fortin. You want me to give my name? Or
Yes.
address?
No.
Okay. You have a presentation for Ameriprise tonight?
Yes, we do.
You have hard copies? Do you have hard copies?
We have hard copy.
Yeah, are hard copies posted or available for the public?
No,
Not,
Will they be posted?
we can post them tomorrow after the presentation.
Very good, thank you.
thanks, sir. Anyone else have a public comment at this time here? No? All right. Anyone online have a comment?
I don't see any comments. I don't see anyone speaking up online.
Okay.
We are up to 9 participants.
I'd like to make a comment on that. Moving forward, this presentation is for the Board of Finance, not the public. So that's why it's not online to the public, because we never post any of your documents online for public view other than budget stuff when it's time for voting. but I will ask that they be posted.
Thank you.
All right, very good. All right. Then we will move on to item 6, which is the presentation from Ameriprise Financial Services on the Bowen Fund, where we stand at this time, and we have Pat O'Brien and Kelly with us.
Kelly Graves.
Anywhere, I guess.
Wherever the.
Yeah, wherever.
Anywhere is fine.
So to introduce myself, I know quite a few in the room. My name is Pat O'Brien. I've been a resident of Woodstock for the past 30 years, graduate of Woodstock Academy. I've had 3 boys go through the public school system. So I am instilled in Woodstock. Just want to make that important to me. And also thank for the opportunity to understand this project with the Bowen family and the gift that was given to the town 100 years ago. I don't think any of us would have imagined that a $5,000 gift by a family 100 years ago has turned into $22 million. All of a sudden, that is going to be able to be used by the town taxpayers. So it's an incredible gift. Also, as a financial advisor, it's even more of an incredible case study when I talk to people about investing early and investing young. What it truly is. It's incredible. So that's a little bit about my background. I've been an advisor for 24 years. I do have a few designations that are important to me. One being a certified military financial advisor, also being a chartered retirement planning consultant, and those 2 things are very important to me. As far as the practice goes, we have 3 offices. We're located in Putnam as the main office. We have an office in Sturbridge and then one in Granby, Connecticut. So on the slide deck that not all of you have, but it does give descriptions of each of the team, as well as the other advisors that are part of the practice. So the Bowen Trust, this several moving numbers. They're not exact on here because there's stock that fluctuates every time. So these numbers aren't exactly accurate, but they're pretty close. The other thing that's important to know is that the most recent statements that I have are from November of 2025. So there probably were some dividends that were paid or reinvested since then. This is also not going to be accurate for a year from now when the trust actually comes due, because there'll be another 4 quarters of dividends that will be reinvested in the shares of stock will also grow at that point. So as of now, there are approximately 52,624 shares of JP Morgan stock. This was a gift by the Bowen family, which back 100 years ago was not JP Morgan. It was Chase Manhattan at one point. It was New York Life at one point. So it's changed hands several times. We're hoping the records are accurate over that period of time. To that point, there are actually some stock certificates that are in paper form that are held at the town. Those may add to this. I think there's another 15 or 2,000 shares that may increase this number too. We won't know that until we actually submit that paper format. All the other shares are digital. The other stock is Bank of North Mellon, and there's approximately 34,394 shares of Bank of North Mellon. The total assets is around $22 million. What we've talked about is the trust, when it matures, what's been guided from the attorney of the town is that the town will have access to income that's produced from those investments. So that income currently is around $400,000 a year. And again, according to the trust will, that's what can be offset taxation for the townspeople. So that's where we are now. And I've met a couple times already with some of you here to kind of talk through this. I think we started this a year ago. One of the things that we talked about that was important is potentially looking at some diversification. Obviously, if you're concentrated in 2 stocks, if those 2 companies don't succeed, then that entire asset is also going to come down. And we talked briefly about that. We're still looking for clarification, I think, if that is even possible. That would be something that, Karen and Chan, last time we met, had asked, that we may have to go to the, Connecticut State Attorney General to review. That is even possible. So if it is possible, that's something that, you know, you would obviously lean on a financial advisor to get some guidance there. If there's 2 stock positions, I would be acting as a custodian of those shares. That would be my role. As a custodian, that would, you know, be my role of paying out the dividends, just normal custodian roles, which is what's happening now. If we go or are able to do a approach where we can do diversification, I would be acting in a fiduciary role. The fiduciary role would be giving direct advice, coming up with a portfolio that would obviously not be in 2 stocks. We would diversify into a few different positions. On my slide deck, I threw out 2 positions, one to Charles Schwab Dividend Equity Income Fund, and then a Vanguard High Yield Dividend Fund. The reason why I'm giving examples of dividend funds, it goes back to what's available for the town. It's only the dividend income. So even though we have assets that are $22 million, you can't get to that $22 million. So it really is just what is produced from those investments, what is going to be allowed to offset taxation. So the 2 examples I gave, it would currently take the dividend income from $400,000 up to $800,000, just from the different dividend payout for those 2 investments. It would also accomplish diversification. The Charles Schwab fund has 100 different companies within it, and the dividend yield is 3.86%. The Vanguard fund has 500 different individual stocks within it, and dividend yield's a little bit lower, but it's 2.85%. So it's still increasing what income could potentially come to the town to offset taxation. I'll pause there for a second. Does anyone have any questions on any of that?
Just a quick one. Is your understanding that it is only the dividend income that's available?
Yeah, and I think at first we thought it could be interest, it could be, you know, gains as an example of the investment, but last contact we had with the town attorney was that it's just the dividend produced from the investment.
If I could intervene on that, just because of the attorney portion of it, because Chandler, myself and Mike have been working on this for the past year. So technically, it's a permanent endowment fund. So the actual will is the endowment. So in order to make any changes, including investments, even upon maturity, we would have to go to the Attorney General, ask them or show them that we can better manage it, keep it more secure, increase the annual income. But yes, the last statement was, we cannot touch the principal that has grown on the date of maturity, whatever it is. That point on is just the dividends.
Okay.
And then we talked about putting it on our revenue sheet to offset taxes, or if the board wanted to come up with some type of a spending plan for a portion of it for capital projects, there's different things like that. But if we don't try to go this route with the Attorney General's office, those funds can't be touched. And so like he said, they're only invested in 2 and they're growing, but they're not diversified, which means you could lose them as fast as you gain them. So that's
So
part
one
of,
thing to that point, I would agree. I mean, it's at 22, it was a year ago, it was at $15 million. So it's gone from $15 million to $22 million. That's just appreciation of the stocks. The dividend income hasn't grown as quickly as that. It's just the equity itself has grown that fast. So how I would explain it to anyone is if it can go up 25%, it can also go down 25%. It's unlikely a dividend would be cut that drastically in the same example I'm giving you of the underlying stock. There would have to be something really wrong with that individual company to cut their dividend. Especially JP Morgan and Bank of New York Stock. They've been on forever. They've consistently raised their dividend 15 years in a row. So that, yeah, they are obviously solid companies.
So is the untouchable portion of the money, is the untouchable amount determined at the date that it reaches 100 years? In other words, if it has 23 million, when we hit that date, that's the base amount and can.
Yeah, no, so
What's our
I think,
principle?
I think that number is gonna keep moving
Oh,
upward.
no, I understand totally that
But the only,
number
the
will
only
keep
number
moving.
that's allowed to the town is the actual dividends that are paid out of the individual investments.
So,
So even if it went from 22 million to 42 million, the dividends might still be 400 grand.
oh,
The
but that,
town can only get the 400 grand, is my understanding.
that is weird. So we can't, so you can't, so we can't diversify except on dividend producing.
So you
stocks?
can't access
Like
that. You
growth.
can't access, you can only access the income.
What if you want, and so we wouldn't wanna invest in high growth stocks?
You would want high dividend stocks.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and no interest there.
So we care about what the value is of the asset. We care more about what income is derived from that investment, because the only thing accessible is the income. It's so it lasts forever.
No, I
That's-
love that
that's
it
why
lasts
it's-
forever, but
yeah.
usually like it's a base, there's the principle, this is the amount that.
Yeah.
It makes up the endowment.
Yeah, no,
This was the amount endowed at
Back
this
to
point in
being
time.
such a cool case study.
Yeah,
I mean, it's set up brilliantly that the town will never run out of some type of income source.
well, unless there's a major problem.
You're still gonna have dividends. You're more than likely still gonna have dividends from that.
JP Morgan's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but to your point, that also might be the reason for more diversification, right? If you're worried about 2 companies, if we're in 100 companies, pretty unlikely that all 100 companies are going belly up. And that's kind of the next fold of trying to possibly get approval to do that. Any other questions?
I have one. Can I ask one?
No,
No,
it's
it's actually
actually
comment. I can wait.
under public comment.
Sure. I can wait. He said anyone. Figuring out a one, I would ask.
All right, so the next slide here is, I think it's important to explain a little bit of this of cost, what is this gonna cost the town, obviously that's important. There's 2 different roles that I would act in. I act as a consultant. That would be the first example if we're able to just keep things the way they are. If the Attorney General says we can't diversify, we have to keep in those same stocks, and acting as a custodian. I put the fee structure, in there for you to see what that would be. Approximately $5,000 a year is what the cost would be to manage that. If the fiduciary role is something that I would be acting on behalf of the town and managing the portfolio, that would be an advisory fee or a management fee of 25 basis points. So 1/4 of 1% is basis points. To give you an idea, the average endowment of this size is typically around 1% is what someone would charge. I felt an obligation of being a resident of the town, feeling that this is something that is important to me, the piece of history of Woodstock. I'm in it to help out. I truly am. And that will cover overhead basically for whatever the cost of management forward. That's it. There's any other questions?
So because this hasn't reached maturity, have we had anyone to just manage it? If we haven't had to do anything?
It's only stock.
Spend?
So what happens is the dividends are reinvested to buy more shares right now.
Okay.
So there's no, it's hands off.
Okay.
And it's worked.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's 2 inserts in here that will give a better chart for you on the 2 investments. These 2 investments I put in there are just examples of things that we could consider. There's 100 other ones that we could consider too besides these. But this was just a way for me to show that there are other ways to create diversification and increase the income, the dividends, which is the most important to this endowment. Good.
Patrick, so in your, in our current state, or if we move to the Attorney General, have you had experience doing that? Because that's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, so I've actually found like 3 case studies that have done it. This isn't uncommon, believe it or not, like having a 100-year trust. But I would lean on more than just myself to do that. I would definitely need more resources, but at least I could prepare, some material of backing up the reasoning why it makes sense and
Okay.
historic data of why diversification is probably,
Yeah.
Better than concentration.
Yeah.
It's certainly proven over time that it is. But I would need some more possible
Okay,
resources.
fair enough.
All right. Anyone?
One thing to remember is there's not a lot of Mr. Owens out there.
No.
I have a question, that's a quick question.
Go ahead.
So you guys have been working together for like a year or so or whatever on this, like, can you tell me how you guys got to the point where you are? Because like I've been on the Board of Finance now for a while. This is the first that I've heard about anything about that going on. Which is fine. I just don't know how.
Well, we've had Mike involved, your chair. He's been involved in it. I feel as though when we have these discussions at the town level, it's realistically Mike's job as the chair to notify his board.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm
So-
not complaining that we weren't
No,
involved.
I
I
know.
just want to know how we got from where you started to where we are now. 'cause we weren't
Basically,
involved.
just reaching out to our attorney and asking, how do we move forward? Because none of us knew how.
Right.
And then having just a simple meeting with the Board of Finance Chair, the first selectman, myself, sitting down with somebody who has more knowledge than any of us have, and just checking options because it's still a year away.
Gotcha.
And we had one meeting about a year ago with Michael, and there really wasn't any determination until we got some advice from the attorney.
Yeah.
And then it went back and forth with the attorney and the auditor, just to see what our options were, how we handle this, do we need an endowment fund, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then once we found out from the attorney that it was basically a permanent endowment restricted fund that can't be touched,
There's no option.
we kind of threw ourselves like, well, now what do we do? And that's when we called Pat back in and said, hey, can you help us with this? Because our attorney basically said, in order for you to do anything or make any changes, there's the possibility of going to the Attorney General.
Right.
So that's really how it all worked. It's just been kind of on my back burner for myself from the auditor standpoint, saying, you guys need to start thinking about what you're gonna do with those funds.
Right.
That's all. It wasn't,
No, I'm just
Yeah.
asking like how we got to this point. So you already like determined, just for my own baseline of where you all, just so we
Yeah.
can catch up.
it's really just my job as the finance director for the town to look into these different types of things and provide the information, like
Yeah.
getting the attorney information and stuff that was required by the auditor.
Right.
Is really how
So-
it all started.
In that process, just so I'm just trying to make sure I understand completely, like in that process. You all decided with the attorney that at this point, because it's a permanent endowed like fund, your only option is to look for different vehicles for investment with permission, and there's no other options on the table.
I looked back at years of attorneys' opinions.
Yep.
And it was all the same. You can't touch it.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't touch
that's
it.
that's
Yeah.
actually perfect, you know what I mean, because now like we know what we have to deal
Yeah.
with.
And that's why we asked him to come in and give you a presentation, because your board should be the one to give him permission to move forward. Accept the fee and ask him to be the consultant or in moving forward. Yeah, but we didn't feel until we had all the information, why even start anything until we had, and we just
Yes, I think
received.
the timing is,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the timing, I just was curious how we got to where we are, that's all. And
Margaret?
Quick question. So then would you be working with the town attorney to bring it forward to the
I
attorney
think
general?
that would work best, yeah. You definitely need legal counsel for a lot of it, especially if we're making changes, you would wanna lean on that person for guidance, yeah.
Yep, and any attorney information will be privy to the board, but not to the public. attorney-client privilege is not privy to public. We don't have to provide that to the public. It's just for the board. Just how it is.
Anyone else?
Timing, we would be looking to make a decision on the path forward.
It matures on May 2027. So we have a little over a year, and that would depend on you giving him permission to move forward with working with our attorney on trying to get it diversified or in their hands or not.
I would back up a little, sorry.
Yeah.
But there's definitely things that need to happen between now and May. One of the important ones is the paper certificates that are in the town hall. Everything else is electronic format. Those need to get into electronic format. They may already be there, we just don't know yet.
Right.
We don't know where the dividends are going for that as well. If they're in paper format, they're from like the nineties.
Might be a nice,
But there could be a chunk that we don't even know about that could add to it, so there definitely is a process that could take place prior to deciding on any of the diversification that we talked about. Just the custodian of it, may be worth, starting soon. Right now, the custodian is a company called ComputerShare. They're a transfer agent, they're essentially, it's a call center, is what it
Yeah.
is, and, they're moving paper around, that's it, so.
so those shares are 100 years old that are sitting in the,
No, well, there's some from 1990, so somehow at some point,
okay.
the certificates were being mailed to the town hall,
Somebody's-
which is bizarre, but that's what happened. But they're still here, so we have to do something
Determine,
with those.
Is there a chance that the paper certificates are redundant with your electronic
Yeah,
certificates?
possible.
Okay.
People, they have QSIP numbers on them. We looked at the QSIP numbers on the statements from ComputerShare. They're different than the paper certificate, so
that could be
keep
good
going through
news.
drawers up there and see. if
Not
there's any-
Ryan. I've been,
Cross your
we
fingers.
found letters from attorneys from the 1940s up there regarding the Bowen funds.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Yeah,
The key is gonna be to convince the Attorney General, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm often wrong.
And it seems like it needs a long
But you've
run.
gotta convince the Attorney General that it would be in the benefit of Woodstock to diversify and to make those more accessible as far as the income and to make them safer. There have been times where the Bowen Fund has gone backwards.
Yeah, about $3 million.
yeah,
in
that
one-
was back, I
one-
think in
1 year period.
2017 or 2018, we lost 3 million, but of course it wasn't 22 million at that time.
Right.
And actually, I should be getting statements because they come out quarterly. I looked today. So usually sometime this month, I should get the ones ending January 31st. And as soon as I get those, I'll get them because it could be more. They could have grown.
Yeah, back to diversification, that is important. But what comes with that is trying to drive more income that comes back to the town. Because back to, we care about what that $22 million is worth, that's important, but what's more important is the income. If we can go from 400,000 to 800,000, that's a big change for offsetting taxation in the town.
But we also want it to be smooth, right?
Well, again, back to we care more about the dividend.
No, but I meant smooth in terms of dividend, like we don't want something where, yeah. this
Dividends are generally very consistent.
Okay.
They are. I mean, the companies that pay dividends, there's a reason why they pay dividends, because they want to return to their shareholders, not only in stock price, but in the dividends. In a lot of cases, dividend stocks don't move much.
Right, okay,
They,
yeah.
they produce 5-6% income off of that. And that's the trade-off, the dividend income.
And are these dividend income right now, but it gets reinvested every time, the two?
Yep,
that
Yeah,
it's in?
that's how there's
So much, cause.
52,000 shares from $5,000 of stock and kept getting reinvested and buying more. So I did a quick calculation. There's probably another 2,500 shares since we last met in November. And once this finally matures of JP Morgan stock, and that's trading at 320 a share. So, yeah, there's potential for a good jump in the share, amount too.
Is there any world where the state taxes us because this is an income?
No.
Is that, okay?
They're not flipping it.
Then it's a bonus.
Don't give them any ideas.
One other thing, Chan, just to touch on Chandler's point of convincing the Secretary of State that it is in the benefit of the town. Having gone through something with this, with a piece of property bequested in 1820. It also, when you get to the Attorney General, has to honor the original bequest. And let me tell you, that can get dicey. And you can go down a rabbit hole that all of a sudden you have to contact, and I have not read ours, but I will ask you for a copy this week. You have to check with all the descendants, is where we ran into a roadblock. And
So I
after
could
determining,
confirm, I could confirm that with the town, but not necessarily the Bowen, but we have other small trust funds that have been sitting here since anybody ever heard of the first or second Sunday school of the Poor Farm? That's what they were called.
so what was it?
It was called the Poor Farm because back years ago when we received these funds, the town of Woodstock had a poor farm. And it also had a Sunday school and a second Sunday school and all this other stuff. But long story short, these were very small amounts, very limited interest. I mean, there was times like 2 cents a month. However, when I tried to do something with those, I was told that we would have to go through probate. Because if there's any family members left, we would have to go through the family members first to get their permission.
To do
And
it.
I also found records from attorneys from years ago in that same situation that stated that and said you cannot touch those funds no matter what. Because we wanted to give it to Teague. We said, is there a way that we could, because they act as a resource for the town that helps people who have struggling with low income? Nope.
Yeah,
And it
that's,
costs more money in legal fees than we actually have in the funds.
I think.
So we just let them sit there and collect $3 a month.
In the example I used, there was over 13,000 descendants that would have had to been contacted. 110 years, and they had a family of 11. And like compounded interest, that gets pretty big, pretty quick.
So did you
So
get
anyway.
with all of them? It was all.
No,
No,
we're out. Over and out.
Yeah.
Because all you needed is one to say, nope,
Right.
just one.
Does anybody else have any other questions? All right, I don't know where you want to go with this in the future. We're not gonna be making any decisions tonight, but I think that we should form a committee to work strictly on this. And I think that at that time, we should also bring in some representatives from the general public on that.
Was that a motion or a thought?
This is a thought at this time. We're not
Thoughts move to
actually
motion,
addressing it tonight. We
Okay.
will, at our next meeting or future meeting, we can discuss where we're going to go, because we do have a time window that we have to start operating in, and that's why we did have the meeting approximately a year ago,
Yeah.
that we sat down and talked to Pat, because we had to start somewhere. And yeah, so that's where we got these ideas, and I want to thank you very much for putting this together and the information that you have, and I'm sure that if we reach out to you at anytime very soon, that you will be available to
Absolutely.
help us out.
Appreciate the time. Yeah.
Anyone else have anything else before they? We're not gonna make them stay for it.
No, you don't want to stay for the rest of this.
I'll watch it on Zoom when I can.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank
We'll be looking for you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very much. Have a good night. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, may I please interrupt? This is
Yeah.
Dottie. I am wondering if Mr. McDonald can enable the captions to go with the Zoom meeting. Usually that's a choice available at the bottom of the screen, and tonight it is not showing up as an option. Thank you.
I'll do my best.
He's working on that, Daddy.
Should go with Microsoft Teams.
All right, they may be on now. I don't see them, but Dottie, you see any captions happening?
I'm gonna toggle some of the icons at the bottom, see if I can find it. Thank you for checking. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, next time.
I will move on to the next item of business, which is old business update from the state.
I gave everybody a copy of the governor's
Yeah, proposed.
potential. I don't know if you have any questions on that. I'll be starting to work on revenues within the next couple of days to next week, but I did, write down that we did receive so far to date the second installment of ECS. So both installments we received was like 1,267,000. If by April, when we get the balance, they stick with that amount, we should be getting about 130,000 more in state funding than what we budgeted for this current year. That's
it.
Yeah, unless you have any questions on the paperwork I gave you from the state governor's proposed budget, no.
So Karen, and I apologize, I missed that in my slip there. So you're anticipating 130,000
I am
more?
anticipating
Okay.
about $130,000 more in
Than
the
budgeted.
education cost share grant revenue,
Okay,
just
good.
based on what we budgeted. But then again, we won't know because they don't tell us, they just say balance.
And
But I'm feeling
that.
that
based on experience, okay, great, thank you.
Right. Move on to item B, update on the local bridge project. Dan?
We're anticipating in the next probably 60 days, the bid packets will go out for the Butts Road Bridge. The new design is complete. It did cost a little bit more in engineering, but it'll be a significant savings going to box culverts instead of pour in place bridges. So we're looking forward to getting those packets out to contractors shortly. We are still on hold as far as the rest of them. We're starting to talk about engineering design for the Culver Rock Road Bridge project.
Any questions on that? Anyone? All right, we'll move on to item C, update from the elementary school underground tank project.
We are basically where we were last time. The pad is poured, ready to go. It's just a matter of waiting for the tank, and they're talking the last week of February, first week of March for delivery. We're all set with paperwork for filing for deed closeouts, because the tank is removed and all the environmental testing came back perfect. So we are looking to be right on the projected budget.
Right. And item D, fiscal year 27 budget discussions. Anybody have anything that they would like to add at this time as far as the discussion on the budget?
I would just like to add that on February 25th, the Board of Selectmen should be meeting to approve a budget to present to you at your March 3rd meeting. That's our date for presentation.
Right.
We would be March 10th at the Board of, here.
Yes,
Tune in Thursday if you'd like to come out and join us for our Board of Ed's budget presentation at the middle school.
And that's when
7 o'clock.
you'll be presenting the budget that you intend to present to the Board of Finance
Yes,
at that time.
Yes.
First time,
And that's this Thursday night
At the middle
seven
school.
PM at the middle school.
that will be the first presentation to the Board of Ed. And we probably will have some discussion and then approve at our next meeting on the
That
26th.
you're following. Very good. Okay. Anyone have any questions or any? Okay, very good. We'll move on to item 8, which is new business. Fiscal year 26 Board of Ed budget update.
None at this time, sir.
Nothing at this time, okay. We're still looking good though, right?
We're looking very good.
Okay,
Good.
that's good to hear. The general government budget update?
Well, I don't have such good news. Sorry.
Sitting down.
I just want to go over a few statistics that the month of January has brought us with snow and ice removal. So we are currently $59,000 over budget in the sand and salt line item. That line item includes sand, salt, and plow blades.
Blades, what was it, blade?
Lovely.
Plow blades, yes. Jason thinks we should be all set with what we have for stock now. But then again, we don't know what the rest of the winter is going to, we didn't expect what we received. That being said, we are $16,400 over budget on the highways overtime line item, and we still have 5 months of spring thaw out and dirt road, mud roads and different things like that. So we're a little bit concerned about that.
Karen, can I stop you for one,
Sure.
just to make sure I understand correctly? The 69K, you're over budget on snow removal? That is 59, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That is through the annual budget or just where you are at this point in time?
The whole annual budget was 120 for
Right.
sand and salt. We're already over that 120 with an additional 59,000.
On top of,
But so far, Jason's whole budget is not over yet.
I get you,
It's
but
just
that's.
these line items, which means we're watching the rest of his budget. We do have one saving grace, which we do get some town aid road money, which is for roads. I don't like to touch that yet because Jason has a lot of chip sealing that needs to be done this spring and stuff like that, but we have to watch it. Because that also puts our pension over budget, our social security and Medicare line item over budget. So those are just some things that we're really keeping an eye on. I felt it was really important to over expend the line items to show you the true cost. And then we can decide later, like when if for some reason we have money left in the budget and we don't want to touch the town aid road because we need it for other projects, we could do that. Or I can always do journal entries and charge those items back to town aid road to put money back in the budget. And then I just wanted to update you with your contingency. Right now, we're over budget by 24,248, which you are aware of. That has to do with the tank project. And another area of our budget we're over is our unemployment. You can still be working for us and collect unemployment from us at the same time. I know that sounds silly, but if we hire somebody part-time and they're working for us, but we also. When you get laid off, I guess you have to give 18 months of employment information, and even though they're working for us, if they list us, we're responsible. So we had people we weren't even aware of at the time who were going to be applying. Hopefully, we're done at this point. We do have some saving grace because we decided right now not to hire that 9th person at the highway department when we did budget some benefits, but that's another thing that we've been talking about, Jason being very short-handed during this winter. You have people who go out sick. He's been plowing, and we only have 8 men and a part-timer. So that's been really hard for them. We have guys putting in 30 a week of overtime. And each storm over the last few weeks has cost us over $13,000 between overtime and the benefits.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, weekends.
all
and
of our storms have been
Weekends and
weekends
holidays.
and holidays. I mean, we had a nasty storm that was Sunday, and Monday the holiday.
Well, we just had
Just
one
keeps
Saturday, we
racking up.
weren't even expecting, they said 1 to 3, we ended up with 8 inches, it was the whiteout or whatever. So I just want it for the record. Dottie, if you need those figures, please reach out to me. We just felt it's important for
Yeah.
people to be aware that this is some of the struggles the town faces during this time of year.
Yep.
It's very hard to budget for those.
Another issue is when the weather starts turning nice in April,
Mhm.
guys start turning in their comp time. So when you're already short a man by going to 8 instead of 9, then in the springtime, when all these guys are cashing in all their comp time, now you're really down. I mean, there's times where he wants to get going on spring projects and he just doesn't have enough people.
Right. And we also have a couple trucks down. Well, we did, and they
We
were
had-
being worked
We
on
had 3 trucks down at one time.
during one of the
But
big
they're all
storms.
back up and running. Unfortunately, these new trucks are not designed, to work on, or the way they're designed, the electronic stuff is in silly little places that collects sand and salt. So it sits there, rots out solenoids. You're down.
Then, yeah,
But again, we are definitely keeping an eye on our budget. We're not gonna let the budget go over. We will be telling people what they can and cannot spend in the last quarter until we know for sure. Hopefully that will stop, but I just felt it was important to let you know what the real cost of this winter. 2 years in a row, we had barely any snow.
Yeah.
We didn't use overtime. So it's really tough to budget for
Right.
certain items like that. Other than that, I don't really have any other bad news. Sorry. Lately, I used to be like really good with being like, we're fine. But this year has been really tough. A lot of things have coming up, surprises that. Any questions?
Anyone?
I also sent you all a budget printout of expenses for us from October to December.
Yeah,
I didn't include it in this packet because we knew it was gonna be a bigger meeting. I don't know if anybody had any questions on what I sent or if you wanna address it at another meeting, just let me know.
very good. All right, we'll move on to item C, which is, the 2025 grand list, which will affect this upcoming year's budget. Karen?
Thank you. Not the assessor, but I'm gonna wing this. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was close to a 30% overall townwide increase in the grand list.
Yes, yeah.
I gave you 2 examples of revenue generated from this grand list. One was based on a 97.5 collection rate, one was based on a 98. And so as you can see, anywhere from 7.4 to 7.6 million in revenue, which makes the mill equivalent to either 1.208 or 1.214. So usually in this case, we'll have a drastic reduction in the mill rate when we go to, depending on your allowable increase. So I just don't want people to panic looking at their newly assessment that came out thinking that it's based on this current mill rate and that they're
Right.
gonna get a very substantial increase. That's not always the case. I do want to tell you in 2025, our collection rate was 98.6. That's based on our audit.
Mhm.
So these are just examples of which way we can go as we start the budget
Right.
revenue process. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions. I'd be more than happy to ask our assessor. But now I'll start using this to figure out some revenues once I get our final budget and the school's final budget. Then I can kind of figure out where we need to be based on those numbers.
That would be the time to decide what we're gonna use for a percentage.
Yeah.
Because,
So because everything has moved up so early for us this year, so, trying to provide information sooner is a little bit tougher with the revenues, because I don't get a lot of them. Like, I don't have January revenues yet, Nora's still working on it, and the town clerk's still working on it, and I'm starting to work on all the bank statements. But I will be keeping an eye on that. I will be presenting the revenues after the Board of Ed presents their budget on the 10th. And then you have a public hearing on March 24th. So at some point between those two dates, if you could really kind of guide us once we present where we're gonna be, because I'm gonna have to work quick on finalizing the revenues to be able to go to the public hearing.
Right.
So just that's where we're at.
All righty. Anybody have any questions on that at this time? Then we move on to item D. CNR request from the Woodstock EMS. Do you want to preface that, Karen?
I will start with that. So I gave everybody an update. Sorry. I believe I sent you all an update on where we are at right now. So before we move forward with that, I just want to explain a couple of things. So over the last couple of months, we made some changes. We repurposed some of the money without having to take from the general fund. I think before we move forward to their request, I wanted you to just have an update on the 225,000 for the exhaust systems for the 3 fire departments, because that was a matched grant.
Yeah.
But we paid for it with CNR funding. So as it stands, as of today, the first reimbursement is still at the finance level with the state. It has not been approved to be given to us. So no money has come back to us yet from the state for that. I need to apply for the second reimbursement, which I thought would be closing out the project, but there's a question on a warranty. And it looks like we're trying to see if the grant will pay for a warranty on the systems. So it's gonna be a little longer, but I guess what I'm saying is that I don't know if we'll get all the reimbursement in this current fiscal year to use towards any other projects. So keep that in mind, that their requests may require you to have to take from the general fund surplus if you move forward.
Right.
Because I don't think there's any more wiggle room right now to repurpose. Other than there's one item, which is the sidewalks, the town hall, it's like $3,600. I spoke with Jason, project is done. He said we can release those funds and repurpose that. But that's really it that I can see for now, before we move forward with repurposing any other things. We have to go to town meeting to get some of these projects going.
Right.
So speaking with Russ at one of our budget meetings, he had mentioned that they had some battery replacements for the Lucas machines that we helped them purchase with CNR funds several years ago. I wish I had known that before October's meeting, because they had enough in there to cover that request. But we have since put that back, closed out the project and put it back to the general fund. So that being said, that request for the maintenance plan and the actual battery replacements was 8,000, sorry.
444.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've got two of the same ones here. And then their other request, so everybody's aware, about 2 years ago, we bought the striker stretchers with ARPA funds. This request is for the actual hydraulic lifts.
Which was purchased in 2013.
So between the two, you're looking at, $72,000 in requests from CNR. So Russ can move on and answer questions that anybody may have.
Russell, would you like to make a presentation or statement first?
Yeah, Russ Down, Woodstock Volunteer Fire Association, and to my left is Jeff Rossi, our administrator, and our deputy chief, Josh Matone. I can answer some of it. This is Chris's wheelhouse, so I'm gonna let him take the lead on it. But like I said, the mechanism that we're looking to update and replace is the housing that holds the stretcher in the ambulance. It lifts the stretchers up, it places them in there. It's a $61,000 investment for two of them, so it's a total of it, so it's 30 plus the rate. Plus, we're looking at getting a maintenance contract that goes with them. We purchased those back in 2013. We figure roughly they've been utilized probably 15 to 20,000 times. Those stretches going in and out, up and down, in and out. It's safer for the patient to utilize that. It locks them in there. It's also safer for our EMS personnel. We're no longer picking them up. So we're looking at workers' comp issues that go down because of that. It's a whole different world utilizing this. When Mike and I used to run the ambulance, it was, lift, get 4 people and lift it up. You can literally do this now since 2013, with 2 people. It's a much easier, smoother transition, safer for the patient, much more safer for the patient as well as the EMS crews that are out there. I know it's a lot of money, but it's another life-saving tool that we're able to give, another tool on our tool belt to make sure that we serve the public and the community as best as we can. Like I said, the last time they were purchased was 2013, and they are at the end of their life expectancy. So I don't know, Chris, want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I can touch a little bit more on it. So as Russ kind of hinted at, there are 2 components to our patient transport, part of the ambulance. There is the stretcher themselves, which is what we take out of the ambulance, comes out of the ambulance, that is what we use to get the patient to the ambulance, and then from the ambulance into the hospital. Inside the ambulance themselves is this power load mechanism that we're seeking to replace. That is the mechanism that secures the patient and on the stretcher to the physical ambulance. They are rigorously tested to DOT standards to make sure that they are impact and crash safe. This also, like we said, reduces the amount of strain on our providers and potential back injuries because it is a hydraulic system that supports the entire weight of that stretcher. With that as well, it is a great tool to essentially eliminate chance of a patient being dropped. Before, when there were people just lifting the stretchers up, that's a very real possibility. This is a physical mechanism to prevent any chance of them being dropped. So as Russ stated, these were purchased and manufactured in the beginning of 2013. In our recent times, we've had some issues with these units. They have stated that after 15 years, they cannot repair them anymore. As Russ alluded to, we've estimated that we've used these units between 15 and 20,000 times over the life of their stretcher units. We're also seeking to add a warranty component to that. Not only when the unit is broken will that be covered, it also covers the yearly maintenance to ensure that there are no large expenses that come up and that this unit is continuing to be safe year after year, with updates on for the software, the parts, maintenance, greasing of the fittings, everything like that, to make sure that everything is safe and up to date for patient transport. As you can imagine, a lot of things have changed since 2013 in the world of those mechanisms. So our goal is to continue to offer the safest means of transport to our patients. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. I also do have the ambulance outside. If anybody is willing to bring the tools afterwards, I'm happy to demonstrate exactly what the unit does, how it works, what it is.
As far as the parts that were just replaced a couple of years ago, I'm assuming that that's completely compatible.
Yes.
And does the actual mechanism stay fairly the same? So, in 5 years, if you need some more.
It does. So they have a universal fit system that they've adapted. So in theory, we wouldn't have to worry about this until another 15 years, the lifespan of the unit itself.
Very good, thanks.
So essentially, it's $3.50 to $4 every time you use it.
Yeah,
Sounds about right.
Sounds pretty cheap to me as opposed to
and going back to the Lucas.
you drop one person
Yeah,
or
That's-
drop
that's-
one back.
that's three
That's
times.
pretty
three
damn
times the
cheap
cost
if
of
you ask
yeah.
me.
Well, and it goes further than that, but God forbid, our rig is in an accident, the way that
Right.
it's locked in there, it's also like it meets the DOT standard to keep that patient locked and as secure as
They
possible.
are very rigorously tested for impact protection as well as rollover protection to make sure that there's no chance that this is an unsafe mechanism.
And to back up on the Lucas device batteries, we have 4 units in town, that the finance and West Selectmen graciously purchased, just ironically, just before COVID hit. So that prevented our guys, when we were going out on calls, from getting closer to the bodies, people when we're on COVID calls. But those Lucas devices they do the most proficient CPR that you can ask for.
Yeah.
And those batteries are coming to the end of their life expectancy as well. And they all have to be calibrated, God forbid there's ever a lawsuit, we have to show a calibration that's been calibrated yearly, so, you know. The days of backing up a panel truck and putting somebody in an ambulance is no longer there. So that's why we're just looking, if possible, to use, you know, the money that may or may not be there.
Questions?
Is
Anyone?
the request for both of these simultaneously, or is there one to prioritize first, or are we looking for both of them?
They're both, believe it or not, we're both coming up.
Yeah.
The life expectancy is both coming up around the same time, so.
The batteries themselves have a life expectancy of 5 years. After 5 years, they need to be replaced. So we are at the end of their 5 years life expectancy.
Joe?
Similar question. Has to do only with timing, not with the functionality and the usefulness or the necessity for these things, but the timing of purchasing them, especially with the Stryker and device, is that what you would call it? Being more expensive while we're waiting for the CNR funds to come back in the project. Is it possible to wait, you know, till a couple more months until that money comes back in to actually purchase those? Like,
So-
what's the urgency?
So the only concern that I have with continuing to wait is that we've had some issues with these units recently as it is. And because these devices are at the age that they are, we don't have warranty protection for the power load unit itself.
Yeah.
So any repair could be or any malfunction could be catastrophic and it could cause
Right.
substantial repair costs.
Yes.
We did still receive preventative maintenance on them out of our own pocket. We paid for that maintenance last year. However, like we said, we've had some issues with it and that could be catastrophic if a second verdict fail.
Yeah, look, and I'm like, from my experience in these requests, you guys usually wait till
Yeah.
you need stuff to come and ask for it, but I'm just. And I know we can't predict when we're gonna get our reimbursement from the state on the other one. Just didn't know the urgency of it, if we could, you know, wait like a couple more months to see if that money came back.
Or a couple more months to, by the time, at least a month, it's gonna be anyway. Before we go to a town meeting, if you approve it, because that has to all go to a town meeting and then it has to be approved at a town meeting to take the money and spend it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I mean, if the other option is that we do have another savings account that we're saving for another ambulance. I mean, if we were able to, if we had to front the money, we could front the money and then wait for the town to reimburse us for it. If that would work, that's an option as well. We have a new ambulance coming into town,
Actually, we are expecting delivery in May. That unit was
May.
ordered, unit was ordered pre-COVID, so.
Yeah.
After that.
It's been a long time coming.
Well,
Yeah, it was 2019, I think.
yeah. But that manufacturer was wiped out in the flooding, so.
Yeah, I
We
remember that.
dealt with all of the chip issues during COVID with vehicle manufacturing, especially truck chassis. And then the unit, the company, the plant that makes the physical ambulance portion of the truck was wiped out by a hurricane 3 years ago. So we've been problem after problem with delay.
Can I just note for Dottie that Marilyn, is leading
Bless the
meeting.
building.
You're not here. I don't think I'm.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
maybe.
So what we're looking at here is within the current budget. In our 5-year capital plan, there is a line item for EMS equipment in the amount of $70,000. But that is not funded. That is one of the things that's on a wish list. So if in fact, it would be possible for the fire department to go forward with the funding their own funds right now, and we could get this put on the upcoming town meeting so that it could be approved at that time to transfer those funds from the general fund to the capital non-reoccurring account and be designated for these purposes. Or if we get the reimbursement money that we're awaiting, that would alleviate that issue of taking more money from the general fund.
Or I was gonna suggest the one thing we possibly could do for now, I mean, I know we have bridge projects coming up, but we have money set aside for at least the next bridge. There is 97,000 in that committed fund that we could repurpose for this
For this,
without having to take from the general fund.
okay?
I would prefer not to take from the general fund for
No,
now.
no, that's a last resort, but
So
still,
I don't,
if it's
if you want
necessary,
to repurpose it
okay,
tonight,
we could do that.
and then all we have to do is go to a town meeting and just say that it's money that's already in CNR without
Correct.
having to take more out of the
Right,
fund.
we're just changing the line
We're
item.
just changing the name.
Yeah.
Repurposing it,
All right,
so that's an option.
And what, that was from the bridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, local bridge projects.
how does everybody feel about that option?
I like that.
Right.
Yeah. I think someone should make a motion.
Go ahead.
I think it's kind done.
I think someone else should make a motion. But I don't
No,
know,
usually-
exactly sure
usually
what motion.
Make a motion.
Second, but I think you should.
Do you wanna make it, if you want?
Are we doing,
What you make?
I think we should make two separate motions, or we have to do a separate one for each.
You can make them as a combined motion with a maximum expenditure amount. So if you were to say, for the two items presented,
Or you could make.
It comes out to 69. I would say not to exceed 70,000, because it's like 69,900.
yeah,
Alright. So I would make a motion to do the transfer now. No.
This is why I didn't wanna do it.
repurpose.
You're gonna make a motion to repurpose funds committed
Right.
to the local bridge project
In the amount of.
in the amount up to
Not to exceed
$70,000
$70,000.
to the EMS. What do you wanna call the project?
Lucas and Stryker project.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Perfect.
There you go.
Dottie, you got all that?
Mike made that motion.
Dottie.
I second that.
Not sure how to spell strike. Got it.
Hang on for a moment, everybody, please. Dottie?
Uh-huh. I think I got Lucas and Stryker,
Yeah.
Yes,
not to exceed 70,000,
correct.
repurposed from local
Bridge project.
bridge. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second.
There's second.
Second.
Yeah.
5 seconds. Do we have any further discussion on that? Hearing none. Jeff?
Aye.
I vote.
Aye.
I vote aye. Michelle?
Aye.
Aye. Bill?
Aye.
And Byron? Okay, then the motion carries. Okay, thank you very much. Rob?
Would you like us to be at the town meeting to answer any questions?
Yes,
Yeah, it'd be a good idea because that,
well, we got.
at the same time, you're gonna,
They have to want it, the selectmen need to want a town meeting.
No, that's fine,
Let you know when the date is,
that's fine,
It'll be soon.
yeah.
that's fine, because we'll be here, we're more than what, we appreciate everything that you guys do for us.
And I think if I just might add, if I were you guys, and I think just as a town, as we're trying to explain in the lowest common denominator to people what we're buying. So we just $1,000 to make sure, or excuse me. That's why he's the boss. Up to $70,000 to make sure that we can resuscitate your heart.
Right.
And.
And every time we put you in the ambulance,
That's right.
it's $3.50 to use my example. Because I think those are the kinds of things people go like, 70 grand, what are they doing with that? Well, you lift 22,000 people into an ambulance and you'll figure it out. Would you do it for $3.50? Not me. Anyway, that's my thought.
To your point, that's one of the reasons we had the ambulance over here tonight, was in case you guys had any.
You were gonna make us lift you in?
Well, you can- people like to see the visual aspect of what we're looking at.
I get it, yeah,
So,
Thank you.
we'll do whatever you guys.
but you see my point, I think that's,
Yeah.
I think why Ivar's got us with R2D2 out here tonight, and it's the more transparent, and the more we can make people understand exactly what we're doing, the better our chances to get done what we want to get done. Very good. Anyone else? No. Guys, good?
Yes.
Okay, all righty. Takes care of that. Now we will move on to item 9, public comment once again. Dave, you gotta take down.
Well, I do have a comment.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question and a comment. My comment is that Mr. O'Brien is gone. And my question.
Right, so it's kind of hard to.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, even though I know perfectly well who that person is, the tape recorder does not know.
Mrs. Durst.
Thank you.
This is Dave Gordon, your neighbor. Okay. Are you good, Dottie? May I proceed? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, you,
So. Stuff to think about. This board, or whatever you put together. I heard a lot of talk today about dividend. Well, I've heard about a lot of talk about a bunch of stuff. First of all, it appears that most of this board is as far in the dark on this as I am. Which is a little frightening.
say it again, I'm sorry.
You're all in the dark. Till tonight. It's a little bit frightening for me, to be honest with you. I should be in the dark. I don't sit on the board. So I'm here to ask questions. And one of the things I have to say is, I heard a lot of talk about pulling dividends. I didn't hear anything about preservation of the fund as a legacy fund. This fund was donated with a period of 100 years for a reason, right? For its growth and for the overall value to the town. I think that some consideration has to be given to the fact that some of the amount of money from dividends, if it continues to pull dividends, have to find a way to offset the cost of inflation at the very least, and probably some small percentage for growth. Because what did you say, $22 million? I thought it was 18, but $22 million. Is it gonna be worth $22 million next year, or in 10 years, or in 15 years? So if you pull all the dividends out, the fund is just gonna slowly go down to nothing. So that would be my comment.
And this is why, going forward, we need to set up a board or commission
Right.
to oversee how that is taken care of. And it should be represented by the finance department, the board of finance, most certainly, and also people from the public.
No, and I agree with you. I just want to make sure that I said this out loud for everybody to think about and to hear.
And it's much appreciated.
Yeah. I think at this point, until I really study my notes, I won't torture you with any more questions on that particular topic, but I appreciate the time that you did put in, the thought you're gonna give this. And of course, you, Karen, Chan, and everybody else.
I'd like to make a comment on that as well. I feel you gave a very good presentation about preserving the funds. I'm sorry that you don't feel that way.
I didn't hear it. I heard about withdrawing.
No, he did say about making sure that those particular funds were protected by diversification because they're in non-diversified 2 funds that are very high risk, and you can lose it and gain it like that. We've had times where we lost $3 million.
I know.
By him coming up with a plan to talk to the Attorney General's office is to make sure that the funds are preserved by putting them in more secure, diversified. So yes, we have the growth with dividends, but we also preserve the funds. And he did say that those funds could continue to grow, and the chances of losing because the two funds he's recommending have hundreds of companies within them. The chances of those, so I do feel that he made that clear.
No, I
That's
think
just my comment.
he's looking towards that, Karen. I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not looking
just
to
my
argue
comment.
with you.
I'm not arguing, I'm just looking at what
If the
he.
Attorney General does not agree,
Then
then
we're
that all
stuck.
goes.
Then we're stuck with what we have.
That's why this starting point is happening.
Correct.
Right.
And we got a year to work on it, so to me, Dave,
And none of this is gonna be determined
plenty of time to deal with this and every time
anytime
it grasp
soon.
on it.
And the first thing that has to be for certain is in fact whether or not the state attorney generals would approve us doing this.
And if not, those funds have to stay
Stay
where they
where
are.
they are.
And we have a chance of losing and gaining like we have over the several years. But my
Right.
point was just, I felt as though he explained that when he said the purpose of this is to protect the funds by diversifying them because they're not protected as we speak.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, we also have a question online. There was a hand raised earlier. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Is that?
go ahead.
Go ahead, take that one first.
Yeah. Jeremy,
Thank you, I appreciate it. On the same sub,
please give your name first.
Jeremy Serwer, Dottie, that's Serwer. Woodstock resident. On the same subject, first of all, these are not high-risk investments that we're currently in, but conversely, anything you go into, whether or not it's got they're mutual funds with large portfolios of multiple companies, those investments can fluctuate as well. So nothing's a guarantee. But very interesting, as of the end of the closing of the stock market today, the JP Morgan stock had reached pretty much a high, a historical high, as did the Mellon Bank stock. JP Morgan is yielding just under 1.9%, and Mellon dividend is yielding at 1.7%. Theoretically, if you took it all out and put it into a money market fund today, you would almost double your dividends. Money markets are yielding about 3.5%. Of course, I understand we cannot move that quickly, but that's one of the disadvantages of, I don't know how we got there, of being in just two individual stocks who are extraordinarily high, and therefore the yields are extraordinarily low. Another question that I would have, and it may have been discussed, I could have missed it. What about the capital gains taxes when those two stocks are sold, transferred over to the?
Now, municipalities aren't
We don't have.
We don't pay
those
taxes.
All right, so there is no capital gains tax whatsoever.
No.
Okay, thank you. I was not aware of it. One last comment. The transfer agent, comment for the paper certificates we have, the town should be getting paper dividend checks. There was some discussion about not knowing where the dividends are. We should be getting paper dividend checks.
No, we don't get any. That's why we think that they're probably already in with the digital format, but they just need to double check because we found 3 paper documents from, I think, the 1990 era. So
Yeah,
that is being looked into.
Okay, that's great. I've been involved in forensic stuff with transfer agents, and it's not something I would want to do every day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck with all of that. It'll be a shame if we can't diversify it and get, it'll be somewhat better protected, but nothing's foolproof, but we would definitely be doing better on income. I think
That's exactly what our finance person came in tonight to explain to us, so.
yeah, he did a good job. He was on the money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take your questions.
Dawn Adeletta, 20 Dr. Pike Road. I wanted to say how much I enjoyed the presentation tonight, and that settled a lot of concerns that I had personally, but also that I've been hearing in town. People in town have been talking about what they're going to spend this money on for the
For
last
years.
and
Yep.
I'm one of them. But so what I would suggest, and I know it's premature, but just if you, and I'm looking at you because you're the chair, if you could just put out a bullet point of what we know right now, because then it's an authoritative word and it's in writing. So, because different people heard different things listening to that, and we're all gonna go home and say what we heard and what we interpreted. And if we can point to a document that say, we don't know all the answers yet, but this is what we do know right now. And do that once a quarter until we can start spending it, because then people know, and we can all argue with you about it. But at least we're not arguing amongst ourselves as to who said what, when, and where. And I think.
I find that more entertaining.
Well, but it's a way of calming concerns, because the concerns that I heard this week, were totally baseless. They're baseless. So, the more people know, hopefully the calmer they are, the less concerned they are, the less worked up they get about what they think is gonna happen.
Right.
And they feel they've got a voice because they're hearing stuff all along and not just next May. So that's just what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Don.
And it should come from you, no offense, not written up in somebody else's newspaper, but it should come from the Board of Finance and co-authored by the Board of Selectmen.
I actually have a question. Oh, sorry, Jessica Weaver Booth. Thank you. I have a question that's kind of piggybacking on what was Michelle's question earlier. At the beginning of the process, did you look around for did you like interview a variety of financial institutions to help out with this?
Not at this time.
Okay, but I would think you wouldn't at this point.
We're not
We were
interviewing
just-
anybody because we're not moving forward. It was a presentation to let the town's Board of Finance start the process, letting them know what some of the potential options are. There are a couple other financial companies out there that we will probably either go out to bid or get prices from.
Oh,
This was a start.
okay.
This was basically to
And
start
because he
the
was a
information
resident-
gathering so that we can determine the best way to approach the Attorney General.
Okay.
Much like the general public, up until this point in time, or that point in time when we first got Pat involved, we didn't know anything
Right.
about the situation, where we stood, what the possibilities were.
And I will say even our auditors thought we needed to come up with an endowment program. And then when I talked to the attorney and he spoke with the assistant attorney general, basically said, you can't do anything because it's a restricted permanent fund.
Right.
The will is the endowment. Which means we can't take any money and move it around or anything. And that's why the one person that I knew in town who was a resident was Pat. So I reached out to him for some help. And that's really where we are at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Now I can,
Yep.
and thank you, because that's why it already happened.
Yeah.
Very good. Anyone else?
I have a question about making it happen. So I share that concern about inflation in the future and such. If we end up having to stay with the banks, would the restrictions of the will allow us to not use all of the dividends, but, say 4/5 or thereabouts, and then put the other 20% back in, reinvest, so that the base is continually growing? See what I mean?
I'm sure that when the time comes, we will find out that if we want to invest more, we can.
Oh, good, thanks.
But we can't take out any more as it stands right now
Yes.
than what the dividends pay.
Right.
But there's nothing saying we can't add to the.
Thanks.
Jan?
To add to what you were just saying, that's exactly what Mr. Ford was talking about.
Yeah,
Was to make sure that.
right, you've maintained the present value
I mean,
of it much, yeah.
22 million at a standstill in 10 years isn't. It's just not the same. So you need to keep adding to that.
Correct.
And I think that was the point that David was making.
Yes. Well made and well taken.
Agree.
All right, anyone else?
We're gonna do other from the board.
I
No,
don't see,
we've got other people.
I don't, no one else has raised their hand, but I think we could ask for a last call from folks that are on.
We should
on
do that,
Zoom.
yes, last call
Thanks,
for
Dan.
anyone that's interested, participating, by Zoom that would like to make a comment.
I'm not seeing any.
We're not seeing any, all right? Then we will close out the public comment. And we will move on to other from the board.
I asked that because I'm going to revisit the same subject, but I really felt it was more appropriate for me to talk now than during the public comment, which is why I'm reopening
There
this.
you go.
Not because I want to beat a dead horse, it's because the more appropriate time I thought to talk was now. So, I do think that when you do form a committee, we're going to have to make a policy. And a lot of that policy is going to be definitional, it's gonna be defining things. What does it mean? Like, what do all the terms in the will mean? And the attorney will help us with that, defining what those terms mean. And after those terms are defined, the policy can address things like the investment of current income and percentages to maintain. And I think we will get there. I think everybody needs to just take a deep breath and know that we will get there. And a lot of it is going to have to be very definitionally driven in order for the policy to.
Or there's still the possibility
That we can't
that
do anything.
nothing will have to be done because we'll be stuck right where we are right now.
I still think we need a policy, right, for.
Well, we would, yeah.
Yeah.
There are two parts to that. The policy is how should the fund be managed and how can the fund be used? There's
Right.
two parts to that. So that's all I gotta say.
Anyone else? Iva?
So, tonight we had a Zoom component to the meeting.
Yes.
In my opinion, that was very successful. We had, I think, 10 participants total over the course of the meeting, including questions. It allowed the reporting secretary to participate remotely. When we had agreed to have the Zoom component for this meeting, my understanding is that was something we agreed to for this meeting alone as a test case. In my opinion, that test case was successful, and I would like to suggest that we move forward with this as a component of how we do it. I think it could be open for discussion, maybe I don't know, before a motion about whether this is how we phrase this. Is it, are we asking for the, I don't want to do it one meeting at a time. I don't think that that's useful. We could do it until until summer recess, or we could do it, as a standing policy. I don't know what the board would have the appetite for, but I would like to have some discussion around having a Zoom component going forward, at least through the budget season.
Everybody good with that?
I am. The only comment I would make is as we get to the budget season and where hopefully it's not 10, it's 100 people, that some sort of limit be put on the length of questions and the number of questions that an individual would ask. And the only reason I say that is sometimes in these meetings, you'll sit and hear something and go, oh, and 2 minutes later, somebody will ask the same thing.
Well, the same person's allowed, two different people are allowed to.
That would be,
comment
but,
and
so
ask
therefore, my
questions.
point is that, do you say that we limit questions to 2 minutes so we don't get, tirades, which.
That's very easy to do. So
I just think that some sort of parameters should be put on And then you'd almost have to do it here as well, I guess, but.
Not almost, you have to.
Yeah.
But setting the time limit would be the chair's prerogative. As I understand it.
Yeah.
Is that-
Per meeting, could you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm going to make a motion that we continue having a Zoom option through our summer recess.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second.
Margaret has seconded. Any further discussion on it?
My only question, is, Ivor, you're willing to run it? Yes.
What if River's not here?
That was gonna be my.
So.
It's you.
It was, so this is the PNZ laptop and the PNZ Owl. Karen brought them downstairs in that box. It was very easy to set up. I guarantee anyone here could do it.
Not anyone's.
I'm more than willing to guarantee you, I
At
could.
least one or more people can do it. I'm willing to, I am certainly willing to
somebody.
do it.
You're willing to do it,
I'm willing to do it,
and
and
if someone else is interested in,
stepping in, I would gladly hand this over to anyone else that was in.
they can come early.
So I think perhaps maybe next time Phil could do it.
No, I will be your alternate.
And
You train me, I would do that.
But you train it, you are the alternate by doing it next month or next meeting.
Next time.
With your
Who
help.
will sit
With my-
side by
sure.
side.
And so it is, so, one of our members, who is not here, Fred, has raised his hand. I believe does he have prerogative to, speak during?
He has
the board?
He's a board member, he has the
Okay.
prerogative to speak.
He
He's
can
just
drive
not
there
a-
if he wants it to.
No.
He's just not
He
just
can't
not
vote.
a voting member tonight.
All right,
I'd
so,
like to
so,
voting in.
so, go ahead, Fred.
Okay, I have a question, and I'm not voting or participating as a member. But at the beginning of this meeting, Mike asked me if I wanted to participate in a Zoom format. And I said no. And quite frankly, the question hadn't not occurred to me when I sent the email in appointing Margaret as my alternate for tonight. So that is a question that we, as a board, have to decide. Are we going to allow in a Zoom situation someone on the board, like myself tonight? Could I participate as a board member via Zoom, or do we still require physical board member attendance to participate? And I think that has to be a policy also. It doesn't have to be decided
You
tonight,
have
but I
that-
think it has to be
that right.
decided.
Technically, you have that right by the rules of Zoom meetings in every other commission or board.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed to tell you, Fred, or anybody else, if there is a Zoom meeting, it is a Zoom meeting, and we can't tell a board member, we can't foreclose a board member from participating in a meeting if the format is
Available.
available, we would not be allowed to do that.
Okay.
So that can't be a policy. I think it's just how it is. It's just a rule. And then it's up to the board member to choose if they want to participate in Zoom or not. I believe that's the rule.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, any other discussion on that? All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor?
Do we need to do one at a time?
We got a poll. I'm sorry. Jeff? Aye. Ivar?
Aye.
I'll say aye.
Even I'll say aye.
Hey.
Wow.
I Phil. And
Go play
Margaret
Margaret.
says aye. All right, so the motion carries. We will make every attempt to carry this through at least till our summer break. And Mr. Peruzzo is going to be
An alternate,
an alternate in
Based
training
on-
as of
based
as of
on-
the next meeting.
yeah, so you and I need to get here a half hour early next time. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was here a half hour earlier. It took 5 minutes to set up. I was shocked how quick it went.
Okay.
So next time it'll take 25 minutes. I will be sweating.
All right.
I-
Any,
I have a second point, but I'll wait because I already had to turn somebody else as a comment.
somebody else?
Under other from the board.
Oh,
No, we're on.
so Fred Schmer is raising his hand again.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Fred.
I volunteer also to be a third alternate.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Very good.
And I did figure out how to do the closed captioning. You have to, the host has to set it up prior to the meeting to allow participants to do closed caption.
I think Fred should take this.
I think you should, yeah, I will,
Well, they can-
I think Fred's the first alternate, I move to second.
I think we'll let them work that out amongst themselves.
So I have a semi-related topic. If no one else on the board has anything else. So, and this is probably a really naive question, but it is around, the documents that were provided, they're provided to the board. They're not being provided to the public. I'm sure there's some things that maybe shouldn't be provided to the public, but is there, and I know the information is for the board, but since we have the public present both in person and on Zoom, I would think as much as possible that could be shared.
Then you're gonna have to ask Crystal, and that's gonna entail more work and more pay for her, because that is not her job. A lot of the documents that I supplied, like tonight, it takes a lot of time to upload those, scan them and upload them, so that's person's time and money, and it's not her job. And I certainly am not volunteering to do it. It's a lot of paperwork. And I don't have access to the website. Crystal, that's her job as office manager. I don't know how you feel about that. But we don't do it for the selectmen. The only thing we did was during COVID, we had to because it was an executive order, but it's not. So that's something you're gonna have to work with the selectmen and Crystal. And right now Crystal is out. We don't know for how long. But we don't all have access. So just so you are aware, we only have one person or a backup, but
Why don't we just say that, let's start the dialogue.
Yeah, and that's it. It is just, when it's appropriate. Obviously, there's a lot of documents here. Not everything needs to be shared, and maybe something shouldn't be shared. But it's a good dialogue start.
Good. Anyone else? Nope. Okay, we'll move on to 11, correspondence and announcements. And the only thing I have to announce is the Board of Ed will be having a meeting this Thursday night at
7 o'clock.
Woodstock Middle School at 7 p.m. Everyone is invited to get some input on their budget. Our next meeting will be on March the 3rd. And that will be for the town budget, town government portion of the budget. On the 10th of March will be the Board of Ed presentation to us. And we will also at that time get hopefully our revenues.
Yeah.
And then the 24th is the big important one, the public hearing for anybody that has questions on either the Board of Ed or general government side. On April the 7th, we will make our final budget recommendation based on the information that we receive from the boards of education, the Board of Selectmen, and the people who show up at the public hearing. And then the referendum is scheduled for the 28th of May. April. So we will hopefully have a budget come May.
Can we just let everybody know that the town advertises for the public hearing through the shopper's guide? I just want that to be known because I don't want people looking in the Woodstock Villager saying it's not published. We found that that is one of the best advertising venues now because it goes to over 40,000 houses.
And it's also on the town website.
Yes. And Facebook, I think,
And
right?
Facebook page, yes. Yes. All right.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Well, thank you. And I would like to second that. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? I want to thank everybody for turning out tonight, both here and those of you who were
Zooming around.
Zooming.
I'm going to stop the recording.
And you may.
I'm stopping. You want to, is Fred still there? Fred is still there. Just ask him how the quality was. Fred, quality was good?
Dottie, give me that too.
Everything was good.
All right.
How did,